Marielle and Elena Visionary here. I'm super excited to welcome you guys to another episode of Manifesting in Business with Marielle. And I'm excited because Elena is here with me, and we had this amazing time last week on Clubhouse. We both co-moderated a group, and it was all about shadow work. And I think I shared a little bit about this here in the Modern Mystic Tribe, and everybody was like, I want to know more. I want to know more. And the truth is that shadow work is one of my favorite things to do, and it is one of the most misconstrued spiritual tools, I think. And I think it's because of the name, shadow work. It kind of sounds a little scary. But during the time that we were co-hosting the Clubhouse room, Elena shared a story that I would love to share with everyone, because today we're really going to be talking about what shadow work is and how you can use it in your business to help bring in more abundance. I've used shadow work for a really long time, and specifically in the beginning stages of my business, it really helped me overcome a lot of things. It helped me overcome confidence issues. It helped me overcome imposter syndrome. It helps me overcome a lot of abundance blocks as well. So, Elena, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here and for this conversation. And whoever's going to help out, I believe that it will. So I'm excited.
Yeah, you are so knowledgeable about shadow work, and there's not a lot of people that really have dived, that I know personally, that have dived deep into this. And so I'm really interested in your story. So tell us a little bit about how you got to be a conscious spiritual transformation coach. I know that you're an energy alchemist. You lead retreats all over the world. You're a writer, you're a speaker. But you used to be in Wall Street.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, it took a big leap in my life to leave Wall Street to do what I'm doing now. So if I were to share my story going all the way back, maybe not to my childhood, but I can touch on that as well, because definitely when we talk about shadow work, a lot of those things that are within us that require our attention because they've hidden our subconscious mind, they're not something that is on the forefront of our lives, happened to us when we were little. So it really goes back to redesigning and looking at what could have happened to you during your childhood, or maybe some patterns that you could be carrying from your parents or even other generations. So I can touch on that as well. But my story is I came from Soviet Union. I actually was born and raised in Soviet Union. So I've never been, like, my family was not spiritual. Both of my parents are scientists. I've never been exposed to this. And I know you've shared with me that since you were a little girl, you were into some of those woo-woo quote unquote things. I wasn't really, because I was intuitive. I knew I was intuitive, and I was a very creative girl. Like, I really was a very much tapped into my divine feminine energies, meaning creativity and dancing and, doing all the great things. But when I came to America, I was looking to what I want to do. And because my parents, when the Soviet Union collapsed, they lost everything they believed in. They lost all the money that they had. We came with nothing. And I didn't know language. I was really, really in a very deep and dark place personally. And I was only 17 years old.
I was going to ask, okay.
Yeah, I was only 17 years old. But I already graduated from high school in Russia because we have 10-year school program. So I was looking to what I wanted to do. And because we immigrated to New York, a lot of people were saying, well, if you want to have money, if you want to do things, and be, abundant or whatnot, abundance meaning quote unquote money, right? Not necessarily abundance in the way I would define abundance now. I ended up going to Wall Street. I ended up going to business school, and I graduated. I have a bachelor's in finance. I have an MBA in marketing. So I went into that path because I really wanted to, have all the things the way the society tells you, like if you're going to get education and get into the corporate, like you succeeded, right? And by the age of 30, I had a very successful career. I was making 6 figures. I was already married. I had children. There's another story around that as well. But by the age of 30, I had everything that society was telling me that I should have in order to be happy, in order to be successful. But deep down, like, I felt that something was missing. Like, there's something, because I had this nagging feeling all the time. And I remember one day I was standing like on a on my 37th floor of my building, my corporate job, and looking at the skyline of New York City, just closing a deal, working crazy hours, kind of feeling a burnout. I'm like, what am I doing this all for? Like, am I happy? Am I really living what I'm supposed to be here? Because I had this nagging feeling that I'm supposed to be doing something else. And that brought me to spiritual awakening, which actually happened right on Wall Street. We had Deepak Chopra, who's famous. Yeah, yeah, he's a spiritual teacher, and he came to our job to talk about what does it mean to be an enlightened leader. And he was talking to all these VPs on Wall Street, and as I was listening to him, I had this aha moment after aha moment that it's not just the things that I've been doing all along in this very masculine driven environment, competing, hustling, doing, achieving, because that was the only way for my voice to be heard in that very masculine environment. I needed to be that.
And you're so feminine. Like,
yeah, but that's what was burning out. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have this really beautiful feminine energy about you that I feel like you really own, and you put it out in the world. And I see this through your videos, so I can imagine how hard it was to work.
Yeah. So I did a lot of like soul searches. Like, why was I on Wall Street for so long? Like, why was it? Why? And I guess I needed to understand that masculine way of doing things so I can speak about it. Like, you have to have experiences in your life. And in my gene keys and human design and my astrology, if I were to look at my energetics and my blueprint of who I am, I needed that experience. I really needed that experience so that I could transform it and help others, because we are going through this huge, huge paradigm shift. And the way we used to do things are not going to work anymore. So now I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't want to do things the way I've done it on Wall Street. Like, I don't want to just hustle and achieve things and work crazy hours. I want to shift, like right now, shift into this new paradigm of how we do things. And you said it right. Like, it's not just the talks, it's embodying this knowledge, it's embodying this wisdom and really walking the talk. And that's what the shadow works comes in. Because when I had that spiritual awakening on Wall Street, right? So Deepak Chopra, going back to that experience, he's having the conversation with us. And at the end he said, why don't we meditate for a few minutes? And this was the first time I meditated. Like, really, even though I read the books on like Secret and Law of Attraction, and I went to yoga class, like I've done some of that work already. But I guess that was like a catalyst. That was the time when I was so ripe and ready. And it comes by grace. Like I always say, I don't know if there's a button that you can press on people and just have them awaken. Like, everybody has to come to this at their own timing.
I love that you said that it comes by grace. It really, really does. And I feel like in business, so many of our problems, the things that we think as problems, also come by grace. I was talking to somebody else earlier, and you just mentioned how you needed to go through it in order to come out on the other side and inspire other people. And what I was actually talking about with one of my clients was that when something is really your purpose, it's almost like life breaks you down completely in that area so you can relearn it step by step. And I think we were talking about it because I was just saying how I often feel like everything I teach, everything about business that I teach, everything that I teach about visibility, even my manifestation stuff, which I'm really nerdy about and have been doing my whole life, I feel like I am always tested in the weirdest ways, like given the craziest shit to deal with. And she's like, that's because it's your purpose. It's like, you actually came up with this really cool formula. So it reminded me of what you just said. Being the super feminine goddess amongst all these like really masculine energy. You really needed to test that what I feel like is so special about you as well,
Thank you.
Sorry that I interrupted you.
No. This is a great. You said it completely right, because that was my task, and I think my soul meant for me to go through this experience. Same as through my childhood, I've experienced a lot of diseases. I was sick in various ways. I had NDE when I was 2 years old. My heart completely stopped, and like I've had some experiences in my life which was like crazy. Like, why did it
Can you
happen?
tell everyone what NDE is?
Near death experience. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I also had an experience on 9/11 when I was in the Twin Towers, few minutes before the planes hit, and then running from the Twin Towers. I mean, I have so many stories. I have so many stories of my life. And I think I had a reading by, I don't know if you're familiar with human design.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a reading by someone a few years back when I started to do this journey of self-discovery of who I am, what am I here for, and really looking for my purpose. And one of the things, I'm in a human design 3-1, which means that I'm the one who wants to experience everything and also go deep dive into any of the subjects. So you never ever hear me talking about anything if I didn't go very deep to know what it is, like read million books, listen to done a lot of investigation, and B, experience it myself.
Yeah. I
And
love
really
that.
embody it
We're very
myself.
similar in that way. Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. So
Yeah.
you definitely have a lot of stories.
I have a lot of stories because that's what my soul, created for me, that I have to experience in them so I can talk about them, right? Whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my family or business or how I came about, there's a lot of different stories. So going back to the Deepak Chopra stories, that day when he was doing this meditation, I've had this out of body experience where I really felt, listen, I'm not just this physical body. I'm an energy. There's something to me. I'm bigger than that. I'm multidimensional. And when I came home, I said, okay, I don't want to just have this one spontaneous event when I felt this bliss of who I am.
Wow.
I want to experience it again and again and again.
That's amazing that you had that experience.
Yeah.
Just amongst everyone else, right?
Yeah. I don't know what other people will experience. We were sitting shoulder to shoulder. And some people have it on the plant medicine, those kind of experiences when they really understand that they're so much bigger than just this physical body. And that took me on a journey to just find out who I am, what am I here for, and really deep dive into them, this whole world of meditation. And I work with spiritual teachers. That all of a sudden things started to align, synchronicity started to happen.
When the books is ready
off the shelves. Somebody finding me on Facebook or Instagram and saying, I have a message for you. Just all of a sudden, because I got plugged in, okay, she's woke. Kind of like my guide's okay, she's woke. Now we have to feed her into all these downloads. And I'm really big on dreams. And I think we're talking about it on the Clubhouse conversation. I get a lot of visions in my dreams.
Yeah.
A lot of visions. And that ties to the shadow work. I always tell my clients, if you really want to experience this vivid dreams and lucid dreaming, it really ties to your shadow work because it's all about subconscious, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Can you define for everyone what you think shadow work is for you?
Yeah. And I think this whole concept of shadow work was created by a psychotherapist by the name of Carl Jung. He's European psychotherapist from 100 years ago. I think he lived, and he said that we all have those shadow sides in us, right? This is just parts of you that are not conscious to your mind. Those are the things that could be hidden in your subconscious.
Can you give an example? Can you give an example of something that could be hidden?
Yeah, I mean, so many things, right? And I always look at what's triggering me to know if that's part of me that's sitting inside of me. So we are all energetic beings, right? So everything that we are comprised of everything that we think about, believe in, do, feel. It's a culmination of everything that we are.
Yeah.
And our subconscious mind represents 95% of our mind. Only 5% is conscious. So just your thoughts it's just surface level. That's why I say positively thinking about things and doing affirmations is just touching the surface. You can have to really go into your beliefs and your beliefs and your feelings, right? And your stuck emotions. And those are the things that you could have, in your life could have come to you through your parents, through social conditioning, right? There's like a lot of shadows that we have around money and sexuality, because like a lot of the
The
hidden
parts
things
of us that we suppress.
suppress. Yeah. And they could have happened from anything. Like sometimes it's not just big T trauma that could have happened, that you've hidden those things within yourself. It could be anything. You know, some girl said something to you when you were 5 years old. Like I had a client who was um, going through some things about self-confidence, right? And we were going deep into like what could have happened. And she, through the work, through journaling, through some culmination, through some contemplation work, she discovered, oh, I remember I was dancing when I was a little girl or whatever. And her uncle said, well, girls don't dance this way. Like it's not appropriate. And then you're like, just little thing like that, like real experience, right? He probably didn't mean bad. He was conditioned. He said something to a little girl. And then you're like, okay. So now you're standing in the corner and watching everybody, how's everybody dancing, quote unquote, or living life, or showing up on a social media, or showing up in their life. So you're looking at all these other women now because you were told way, way, way back that something that you've done was not appropriate.
So you suppress that little inner dancer, that tiny dancer.
Yes.
You suppress her, and instead, but the thing, and this is what I've always thought about shadow work as well, is because anything that we suppress about ourselves, it doesn't go away.
It doesn't.
You will always have that tiny dancer inside of you, or that artist,
yes.
or that speaker, or that, you know, that author. That part of you never dies. It becomes suppressed in your subconscious. So as you said earlier, it's energy, right?
It becomes dancer. If you don't look at it, it becomes dancer and dancer and dancer. And then it sabotages everything in your life. And it has a very, like that energy leaks through everything that you think about yourself, your emotion, your thoughts.
Projecting.
It just goes through, right? And you don't even know why. You don't even know what kind of shadows you could be having. You don't even know how it shows up in your life, because again, it's a shadow. It's a part of you that you have not accepted and sits in the dark.
Yes. That's very well said. So in terms of like business, I get this visual of someone who's always wanted to write and be an author, and that's something that they grew up with and loved reading as a child and loved writing stories, but maybe grew up in a family where, you know, there was an idea that authors are broke. You know, authors, in order to get a book deal, you have to be really special. So you grow up with the belief that I can't be what I am.
Yeah.
So I have to push that aside. So one of the things that I loved about Carl Jung is he used to talk about the process of projection, how all of the stuff that we suppress, it has to come out of us, right? And get our attention somehow.
Yeah.
So let's just say, for example, this author, this person who has the inclination to be a writer or an author, suppresses this throughout their whole life. That part of them is projecting out, trying to get their attention. But the problem is sometimes it doesn't get your attention nicely.
Exactly.
Right? So it gets your attention by causing problems that are really just asking for your attention so that part of you can be fully expressed.
Yeah, this whole idea of a wounded artist or wounded healer. A lot of people, a lot of us in the entrepreneurial world, because we are creatives and we are healers in a way, right? It doesn't really matter what exact modality you're here to bring in the world, but we're here right now. I feel it's 100% everybody who's listening to this video and attracted to you, to your work, are the people who are here to bring in the high consciousness to the planet, right? To bring in this idea of who we really are, that we're creatives, that we can create our own reality, that we can impact the world from our hearts, from doing what we love. And a lot of us have those wounding that we actually came in as a soul, I believe. And then through conditioning. Yeah.
That's so big.
Yeah. So
what are some of the things that affect a healer in business when they don't pay attention to that wounded healer within them?
They have no boundaries. They have people that use them in a way. all the time, and not just in like in business. It's how you're going to be pricing yourself, and how you're going to be working with clients, and how you diminish yourself, your worth, right? You're playing small. This is the wounded healer energy. So a lot of the shadow work is the work of the archetypes, because we all have archetypes in us. It's just the way the energy is, right, within us. And we all have all archetypes within ourselves, but some of them are more dominant than the others. So it's looking at all those angles of yourself. But yeah, it's exactly like when people talk about like spirituality, I believe it's the energetic of spirituality, however you want to word it. It's at the core of everything. And especially in business, that's the most important thing you can do. And when people say I have a problem with visibility or funnels or marketing campaigns or landing pages, you do not have problems with that. The only problem, first and foremost, is your own self-realization of who you are. And if you know who you are, you do your inner work to remove those conditioned beliefs, the outdated beliefs that don't serve you, right? Same as what we discussed, a little girl wanted to express herself, or an author or healer, or whatever those things are, because we all have this divine, unique genius that we came in with. And the purpose of our journey is really, our purpose is to rediscover what that is.
That's right.
What is that unique genius that we came in with, right? And that's when you find that out, then your business is going to just explode, because you're going to be magnetizing to yourself your ideal clients, right? You're going to be able to price yourself based on your wisdom and your self-worth.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you attract the people that are willing.
You attract your people.
Those prices as well. I love that. Thank you so much for saying that, because it really is true that, I help people create these crazy, geeky marketing things and the funnels, and implement all these systems. But along the path of actually doing that and taking action, if you're not doing the inner work as well, it becomes there's a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
And they get lost in the process, because they just they have too many of those beliefs that keep them from actually taking the action with the right energy that's necessary.
Yeah.
So it's huge. So before we end here, can you tell us, like, what is your favorite technique to heal what would be your favorite technique to help someone that is struggling with the wounded healer?
Yeah, it's a big one, because I definitely had that. And I'm also, when I didn't realize that I'm also a writer. Like I became, through the shadow work, what you discover is also your gifts, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just, because shadow could be like very intimidating because of the word shadow.
I know, we need to find another word for it, right?
I know.
Because this work literally is the most transformative type of work. Yeah. And when I speak nerdily about manifestation, I can give you all kinds of cool things, but somebody that really gets on the path of learning how to be a true conscious co-creator and does the shadow work as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So powerful.
Yeah. So powerful. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's a combination of things, but the simplest thing you could do is that you have to spend some time by yourself in silence, or in nature, when you're alone with yourself, right? Because that's important for you to really heal your nervous system and be in alignment with yourself when you spend time by yourself. So
grounded.
Yeah, well, exactly. You become aligned, you become grounded. And for me, when people say, oh, I don't have time, I don't believe that. Like for me, I started this shadow work, and I started this journey when I worked on Wall Street 14, 16 hours a day. I've never had 8 hours a day kind of shift. I always worked crazy hours. It took me an hour each way on a subway to get to work. And I had a family with 2 children. Wow. So I was busy, but I still found time to do this work. And I invested in a spiritual teacher, because she really held that container for me when I could be myself. And when you work with someone who already embodying that, not just talking about it, because a lot of people talk about it, really embodying the work and holding that space for you where you can work with someone. But I know not everybody's going to go and maybe get a spiritual teacher, mentor who can help that for them. Things like guided meditation and visualization, right? Sound healing is super powerful. You can even find sound healing, like binary beats on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, breath work, very powerful, because it's really your stuck emotions and your subconscious mind has to do a lot with the body.
Yeah.
So when you do somatic work through breathing is available to all of us, right? It's a birthright.
Totally.
Right? So doing the right breathing techniques can really help you bring that out, especially like a breath work, holotropic kind of breath work, when you really get into the breathing, where you can tap into like your deeper parts of your psyche. You can uncover a lot of things that you could be holding back, and a lot of them could have come from your relationship, maybe some painful relationship, or your childhood, or there's a lot of different things that could be sitting within us in our subconscious. So at a minimum, I would really encourage people to spend time with themselves, meditation, breath work, journaling, especially around journaling around full moon, when the full moon is really putting a lot of light into your subconscious, where you can go deep and do the journaling, spending time in the nature, all of those things. When you connect and not just do, go, when you can step back and connect with yourself,
right.
It's gonna serve you long term so well.
That's so good. So good. And also, I think that that just noticing what your reactions are, what triggers you, right? Like in business, so many things can trigger you. You can get triggered by somebody else that does the same thing that you do, but then they show up in a way that you don't know how to show up, and that triggers you, right?
Yeah.
You can get triggered by not being able to voice your true thoughts. You can get triggered by not knowing how to price your stuff and just getting stuck. So I think that, like, for me, one of the things that really helped out was becoming really self-aware of the things that were triggering me. And then I always asked myself, what inside of me wants to be expressed? What inside of me is causing this trigger? And that was a hard question to ask, because it basically says, well, I'm responsible for everything that happens in my life. So if that's true,
that's exactly right.
What inside of me caused that?
Yeah. So triggers, I'm glad you brought it up, because that's the school, that's the earth school, right? So every single day, because we are mirroring each other, because we're all one, mirroring each other in this human experience, right?
We're all projecting onto each other.
We are. And the triggers that, like, I always say, my children came installed with all the things they're going to trigger me with, right? Pressing the button. So it's your parents, it's your partners, it's your children, it's your immediate family. They're always going to show you the truth of who you really are.
Yeah.
And it's people, because we're now all in the entrepreneurial world, and thank you for social media, where we constantly can compare ourselves to others. Yeah. So when you're comparing yourself to others, or triggers, like, who does she think she is showing up this way? Just know that there is something within you. People are triggering you. It takes a lot of responsibility and wisdom to say, thank you so much for showing it to me.
Yes.
It's possible for me.
Yes.
If you're triggered by someone and they have more followers, they have more ways of how they're showing up, the confidence, all of that, they're just showing you what's possible for you. But you now have to take responsibility for doing your own work, right? Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I was just triggered. I feel anger, or I feel something. I'm going to have a date with myself tonight and sit down and really journal out and say, what is it that this woman is showing it to me? Why am I being judging of some other women? Is because A, I have a shadow, and B, she could be showing me something that I'm capable of.
Yep. I love that. That's so good.
So you have to look at these people as your expanders. They can show you how magnificent you can be.
What you're capable of.
Yes. And not a lot of people are going to do this work.
No.
The people that are listening to this right now, you're not all the people. You're not everybody. Like, you're going to be doing the work. You're really going to take responsibility for it. Yeah. And it also comes with self-compassion. That's actually the key.
That's so true. Because
It comes with self-compassion.
you can take the responsibility and it can feel like I'm taking the blame, but it's not about taking the blame, it's
No,
taking your
no,
power back
power
and
back.
then being compassionate and loving yourself anyway,
Yes,
no matter
yes,
what.
yes.
Elena, thank you so much. I could talk to you forever. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. Where can everyone find you? Where can they connect with you? Do you have anything coming up? I know you lead these amazing retreats. Please tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I go by Elena Visionary on all my social platforms. Not Snapchat, sorry. My kids on Snapchat. I'm not. Instagram, Clubhouse, Facebook, and my website is elenavisionary.com. And I do retreats. I create these special experiences for women. Absolutely love connecting with women and creating beautiful experiences. And I do those in Tulum. It's coming up in April 26th for a week. I invite women to come with me for a week. It's a very transformational kind of experience, but also a beautiful experience connecting with yourself, with other women, and with nature, because that land is super powerful. And I'm planning another retreat in August in Sedona, which is another powerful vortex. It just takes people to completely different dimension and collapsing timelines when you can really connect with your future self and
Oh, I'm
really
going to look into that one.
embody. Yes, yes.
That is
And I work with people one-on-one and also create group programs where I teach everything that I am and everything that I know. And yes, so I'm excited.
Thank you. That sounds really exciting. I ran a retreat in last year in Tulum, and it was amazing. It was
Yeah.
during a full moon. It was just one of the
Yes.
best experiences in business I've ever had.
Wow.
So good luck with that. And you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. That's all we have, but I actually do have a gift for you. I have a free 5-day challenge. If you want to take that, I actually included one of the tools that I use for shadow work in that challenge. So you're welcome to join that. It's 100% free, and you can find it at manifestinginbusiness.com. And I will see you guys next week with another beautiful goddess who will give us another inspiring story of manifestation and just, how to become the more authentic you, the more powerful version of you, the next version of you. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you as well.
Very important. Thank you.